Hey y'all, I am James Roy. This is my lovely wife,
Hello.
Courtney Danielle, and this is the Noise Date Night Edition, a podcast where we talk about our weekly date night movie selections and give you the scoop. So this week we watched The 355. But before we talk about that movie that definitely generated a lot of buzz and is worthy of the discussion, ugh, um, I say sarcastically. Let's talk about our week. So usually we talk about something that we watched, but considering 90% of what I consumed in terms of media was, the playoffs for football. I figure we could talk football. I bet Courtney's really down to talk football. Right, babe?
I came prepared. I'm wearing a Texan sweatshirt.
No. I mean, it was cool. I liked the games this week, but it's been a busy week. We got some friends in town, and we've just been hanging out, running around, doing what Californians do when people come into California. But I don't know, not much going on the entertainment front this week for us. In fact, we're not even a movie ahead anymore. We didn't get the chance to go see a movie this past week, so now we're back to where we were, where we're just catching movies and then reviewing them, which is nice because I'm not gonna lie to you. We watched this 2 weeks ago, and it's not fresh on the mind. It's fresh enough. Like I remember the movie well enough to tell you how I feel about it, but it'll be nice to move into a point where we're watching the movies like that same week. So, yeah, no, I guess I do have a question for you, babe.
Yes.
So, with the second semester of school coming up and spring break on the horizon,
Mm-hmm.
what is your preferred spring break vacation destination? There's so many different things you can do on a spring break.
I would say a beach where I can lay out and relax.
So not like a spring break beach party per se.
No, because every day my class is wild and I just want some peace and quiet.
So you just want to relax.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
I'm also 30.
No, yeah. I think I know this wasn't a spring break trip, but I think that if I was to pick my ideal spring break trip, it would probably be like a cruise to just
Yeah,
like chill.
I'm down for a cruise.
Just like, and people always ask me, they're like, "You're in the Navy, you probably hate going on cruises." And I'm like, "No, because the difference is that I don't have to wake up every 16 hours to stand 8 hours of watch, and then do maintenance for 8 hours, and then go to sleep just to wake up and start watch again." So cruises are different. I like them. I've only been on one cruise, but I thought it was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cruises are my jam. I love cruises. I feel like it's the best for a family with a lot of opinions because everyone can do their own thing and still be stuck in the same place.
No, yeah, there's
It's like
just
a mom's dream.
so much to do. I want to go on a cruise ship like that has a lot more to do. I think we went on one. It was like Norwegian Cruise Lines, and it was nice. I'll tell you, the person who I had never before that been in a situation where I could just walk up to something or someone and be like, "Hey, can I have food?" and not have to worry about like money or like
Mm-hmm.
it running out. And so the guy who ran, there was this one corner of the boat that served like burgers and cheesecake.
Yeah.
There was more on the menu, but that was all I was concerned with.
Mm-hmm.
And I to say that I ate at least 4 or 5 times a day at that place. The dude probably knew my name and had my order memorized by the end of this trip, and so that is something I wouldn't mind doing again. But maybe that's just me, right, babe? You probably don't want to go on a cruise, do you?
I just said that I like cruises. Why would you ask that?
No, we'll have to plan a cruise. We'll have to do it. I'm here for it.
I don't know if I can go on a cruise.
You don't know?
No.
Oh yeah. Because of the question of vaccines and the
Yeah.
requirement for cruises.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait on that. Oh well,
I don't know.
it's fine.
I feel like Carnival wouldn't do the vaccine thing.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see who's willing to allow us the freedom to go on a cruise.
I have nothing
Um,
against people who are vaxxed, obviously.
I mean,
I'm
I
married to one.
I am vaccinated, but I would never go on a cruise by myself.
Would you?
No, I wouldn't, because I would need. I'd miss Courtney the whole time. So,
Oh, I'm glad you won't go on a cruise without me. Can't say that I'd do the same.
ah, babe. Well, I guess on that note, we can talk about the 355 because
I guess.
that sounds like a good idea. Let's do it.
Okay.
So this week we watched the 355, and this movie was probably meant to be something along the lines of a female Ocean's 11 kind of deal. They didn't really spare any expense. You know, you got Jessica Chastain, Penelope Cruz, Diane Kruger, Lupita Nyong, and Sebastian Stan is in it as well, and Fan Bingbing.
Mm-hmm.
All action stars that are action people. And so the movie itself had the star power. The box office, it's made 21.3 million so far, nearing the end of its run. And the movie's budget was somewhere around 40 to 75 million. So it's not quite in a position to make back the money that was spent on it, which is an indicator that it is bad. I'll tell you, I'm looking at these ratings on Google, and they're not good. We'll get into that after we review it. But early impressions, babe. What do you think of this movie?
Yeah, I thought it was just one of those classic spy movies that wasn't very, amazing.
Yeah,
But I didn't fall asleep.
it was enough to keep you awake.
It was entertaining for like just a casual movie or whatever, but
It's like when
not life changing at all whatsoever.
It's like when Papa John's puts like a little too much cheese on your pizza, and you're just like, I'll eat it, but I'm not going to be happy about it.
Really?
Well, for me, it may not apply to everyone, but personally,
It's
I'm
the
not
sauce for me.
I'm not an extra cheese guy. I'm an extra sauce guy.
Mm.
So if there's a little extra cheese, I'm like, why is there so much cheese on this pizza?
Yeah.
And that is how I feel about this movie. Why is there's so much cheese in this movie, but I'm not going to like not watch it.
Yeah, it is really cheesy, and I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're bored, go watch it.
It's January. The studios are not putting out a lot of movies right now.
Yeah, they're waiting for Valentine's.
And so January's always been like, oh wait, they gave you a January release date.
Mhm.
That's not going to be a classic.
Yeah,
It's rare.
It's weird because I love Jessica Chastain. Like I love her in like Sloane, and oh gosh, there was like other movies that I've seen her in where she plays like the high stakes poker lady. That's like a true story, and she's just done so many good movies. I can't think off the top of my head, but Sloane is like one of my all-time favorite movies with her in it. And so to like watch her in this, I know she's a great actress. She is, but I didn't really buy it as her as a spy. And Sebastian Stan character was just really cheesy. It was just too much for me.
I mean, let's get into it so that I can say what I was about to say. So here's your spoiler alert. We're about to get into it and talk about this movie. So if you don't want to know too much detail, get out of now while you can. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Or do.
So before I get into the big three, Sebastian Stan's character was so poorly written that I knew the plot twist when he entered the scene. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
I know exactly what's happening in this movie.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, let's get into our big three. This is a point in the show, where I kind of break down the movie into three parts. We kind of have a slightly long form discussion about it, and then we're going to talk about more specifically how we feel about the movie. Get into our one negative, two positives, and then we'll do reviews. So there's your overview of this part of the show.
Just in case you've never listened to our podcast.
Just in case, so you know what you're getting into. So here's the big
Hashtag
three.
overshare.
Here's the big three. We start out typical setting
This
the
is
scene.
one.
there's these bad guys. They're about to meet with these other bad guys, and they want to get this thing that's going to be really bad for the whole world.
And no, we're not talking
Typical.
about Protege.
And so it sets the scene. It introduces us to this weapon of mass destruction, and then everything, goes out the window, and there's a big fight, big shootout, and then we're brought into, America, the CIA. We're like, okay, here's what's going on. And so the first part kind of consists of, hey, this is an easy mission. We're just going to go grab this asset that's supposed to be really bad, but honestly, we're not concerned because this is going to be easy. That's the vibe you get. It's just one of those things like, this is a walk in the park. I mean, don't be like, don't be complacent, but like, this is not going to be a hard mission. And we get introduced to Mace and Nick Fowler, who is Jessica Chastain and Sebastian Stan. And they go on mission, playing a couple. It's obvious that Nick is into Mace. And then right before they go on mission, it's revealed that their cover is going to be like, a couple or whatever. So they're playing a couple. They go to get the asset, and everything doesn't go well. And Nick dies. I'm throwing air quotes around that one. Because like I said, I knew what was up the entire time, and usually Courtney has to tell me halfway through the movie. This is one of those ones where it was not hard to piece it together.
Nope.
So Nick's gone. Everything's bad. Everyone's broken. And this weapon of mass destruction is just out there. Someone has it. It turns out that the Germans are after it too. We get all this stuff, but anyway, that's the end of the first part. So the second part is pursuing it. And in the second part, we see all of these entities, to include Diane Kruger's character, which is Marie Schmidt. She's with the Germans. You got Khadija Adie, who is played by Lupita Nyong. And so you get those characters brought in. Penelope Cruz is a part of this as Gracilia Rivera. And essentially, we watch the weapon of mass destruction kind of get kicked around. And we get to see these people realize that they're on the same team and that they need to form together to try and get it. And we come into what I feel like is signaling the end of the second part, which is the reemergence of Nick Fowler at the party where they're doing their big Ocean's 11 heist, let's take this thing mission. And then we enter part 3, which is where we kind of see them fail, as is expected. The lead group typically fails and then has to figure something out to kind of win in the end. So this is their we came together, but it didn't work. So now we're going to come together again, come up with a better plan. There's some loss. There's some, some people, don't make it out. And we end up with the final fight scene, which culminates in Sebastian Stan's character finally, losing, but he gets away.
Yeah.
And then external to the big 3 parts, you kind of get the end where we get to see kind of a more satisfying, hey, you got to leave and you got out and you're back with the CIA, but we're on the lam and we don't like you, so we're going to take care of you personally because you're not a good person and we don't want you running around anymore. And so you get that kind of ending. And then that's it. There's no end credit scenes. There's nothing else. They manage to get this weapon of destruction, destroy it, and then they get their just desserts on Nick Fowler, and the movie ends. And honestly, looking at the ratings, I have trouble not agreeing with them. I just didn't think the movie was impressive. The movie was had a lot of A-list actors.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them did well. I didn't think that anything stood out. There wasn't a character. The only character that had a significant development over the course of the movie, outside of Nick Fowler becoming a bad guy, which I wouldn't say he did particularly well, was Graciela Rivera, played by Penelope Cruz. Kind of goes from I'm scared, get me home, I don't want to be here, to finally taking action to stand up for herself and understanding the only way out is through. But even then, it's not a great transition. It's as great as it can be with Penelope Cruz acting it, but it's not written well. So it just ends up being okay, wow, that's very typical. I didn't feel like the movie innovated. It didn't really do anything special. It just told a very typical story with new characters. So that was my take, but I guess we'll get into our negative and two positives. And so, babe, can you give me one negative and two positives about this movie?
One negative, the whole story.
Ooh.
I didn't like the script. I thought the dialogue was okay, but I think the overall story was just really lame.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think that, yeah, it was just unrealistic. I couldn't buy into it. Since we were dealing with like a, alternate universe in some way, maybe it could work. But I mean, to think that, like, I don't know, that everyone would be on board for the same mission. Yeah.
I mean,
not buying it.
I don't know. The big thing is that I saw Diane Kruger, and every time I saw her, I thought, I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, so many thoughts. That was the negative.
That was the negative, yeah.
Two positives. Let's see. The last fight scene was pretty good in the hotel. There was a lot of action. I liked that. But then it was really long, so like awkwardly long.
No doubt.
At times where I'm like, did they not have it in their budget to keep some of the actresses for the fight scenes because they were not in the middle? And I was like, are they dead? And then they pop up like 20 minutes later at the end of the fight scene. I'm like, yeah.
She legit turned to me. She's like, have you seen...
Like, if it's like an active fight scene with like a group of people, typically like on action movies, and you can go back to like any great war action movie, and you'll go like through shots of like all the main characters that are involved. And in this one, it was like basically Jessica Chastain's character, and then you never saw Penelope ever. You never saw, and you basically saw Diane Kruger's character, and then you never saw like Lupita. You never saw Fan, the one who played Lin Mi. Shang. I mean, I was like, this is just low budget. Yeah. Another positive, I would say, I just thought of something really morbid, so I'm not going to say it out loud, but I did like, the idea of this like underground auction taking place for like this high, thing that they were looking for or like wanting to buy to control the world. I thought like that was clever. And I loved like the big party and all the gowns at that party.
I did feel like they determined like where the thing was way too easily.
Well, if you saw the previews, you already knew that too. You knew like the item or whatever the heist is going to be in that pretty gala type event. So that was like, I just like the fashion. I like the eliteness of it. Just like this, classic spy of like, you're at this fancy party and trying to like control everything, like the cameras and get inside and manipulate through situations to get what you need. I like that part, but it was like just a classic spy scene. So couldn't go wrong. That's it.
No doubt. So for my negative, I could just say the whole story and be done with it. Like I said, I felt like the big plot twist was a bit easy to recognize. I feel like, and that kind of falls on the writing. I feel like, I mean, I knew from the start that Sebastian Stan's character wasn't dead. It was the way they shot the scene, and I think it was meant to be that way on purpose. But I feel like it just kind of took away. Like I wanted it to seem more like it was finished. That way, when he came back, it'd be that much more surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, there he is, as I expected.
Yeah, for sure.
Two positives. I felt like Lupita Nyong'o in specific did her part really well.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Jessica Chastain was really good in her role. Do I buy her as a CIA agent?
No, not for one bit.
But I felt like her acting was good. I feel like she did what she could with the script she was given.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that the whole not buying her as a CIA agent doesn't really fall on her so much as it does the fact that they just didn't really give her much to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But those are my two positives and a negative. So
yeah,
Courtney's gonna pull up the interviews for the Negative Nancy's, but in the
I will say there's quite a few.
meantime, I feel like we'll have a lot of material. But in the meantime,
James just wants to talk more.
let's talk about how everyone's viewing the movie briefly.
That's what the Negative Nancy bit is for.
Well, no, I'm just saying like
Are you taking over my bit?
No, I'm doing the overall, like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff.
He just liked my bit because I came up with it.
Do you want to read
No,
off?
go for it.
Do you,
I'm sure everyone likes your monotone voice better than mine.
Hey guys, 4.9 out of 10 on IMDb. 40% on Metacritic. Rotten Tomatoes to me was interesting because it was 25%, and that is the critic score. Audiences had it at an 86%. But that kind of leads us into our Negative Nancy bit. So it seems like we'll have a lot of negative comments to work with. And Courtney seems to have already found quite a few.
It's okay. I went to Twitter. Now I'm live tweeting.
Nice. So get on Twitter and check out the live tweet post haste. But no, so Negative Nancy, we look at the 1-star reviews and we try and find the poetry in the negative, because who goes on anything, restaurants, Yelp, anything, and looks at the 5-star reviews? I don't care what the person who wrote a 5-star review has to say. I want to see what the person who wrote a 1-star review has to say.
Oh, are you wanting me to read the bit now?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. The word dumb would be an insult to dumb. Should have been clear from the start how dumb this film is. What's the device everyone is after? A hard drive that is rigged with an algorithm to be able to hack into everything on the planet. Access anything, anywhere, anytime. Lazy script writing. I agree. Couldn't agree more. I probably could have helped write a better script.
Yeah.
Dumber than a bucket of pudding. More Hollywood crud. Plot so thin. Vomiting. These aren't believable action stars. Have to agree. Nonsense. Good actresses do not make a decent film. This one is just a whole bunch of nonsense from beginning to end. Probably as I couldn't actually make it to the end. A colossal failure. Terrible. Even cliche flick takes skill to make. No skill here. 1-star review. Walked out 40 minutes in. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many, but you pretty much summed everything up before, so.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So I guess we can give our ratings on our favorite scale.
Sure.
1 to 10. 1 to 7. And you can go first, babe. What did you have the movie rated at on a scale of 1 to 7?
A 1.
A 1. Oh, wow. That's really low.
Mm-hmm.
Exceptionally low. I was going to go with, I think, a 2.5. I didn't want to give it.
I liked Protege better. I thought it had this darker vibe to it, and I think I gave Protege like a 3 or a 2. So.
Okay. All right. I buy it. Well, on that note, let's kind of take a look at what we're going to be watching next week. All right. So over the next few weeks, there's a couple of movies of interest. We're mainly looking at our streaming pick, which is The Tragedy of Macbeth. I think we're really interested in watching that this week. But some other movies that are coming out soon. You've got Moonfall. Moonfall looks like a really good movie with Halle Berry and who's the guy who plays in Game of Thrones? He's in there too. He plays I can't remember what role he plays. He's one of Jon Snow's trusted confidants. And then after that, you've got Marry Me. That's on Valentine's Day, or like just before. It said Valentine's Day, but I think Valentine's Day is a Monday. Maybe it's a Friday. I don't know.
And there you have it, guys. A married man who doesn't know when Valentine's Day is.
It's one of these days. I'll get it right. Let's see. And then Deep Future, you've got movies like Ambulance, which I don't know. I'm not super stoked about that one. It's Jake Gyllenhaal. It might be a good movie. Who knows? And then Morbius is coming out soon. So that's another Marvel movie. So I'm excited about that one. And the Marvel slate I think opens up later in the year. Maybe like I think May is like the earliest, but I'd have to look. I'm not super sure. Um, and then there's Redeeming Love is another movie we haven't seen that we'll probably go see in theaters this week as well to get ourselves back ahead maybe. Um, but on that note, thanks for hanging out with us today. Um, like, comment, subscribe, give us a follow on social media. This has been my lovely wife Courtney, and I'm James Roy, and this was the Noise Date Night Edition. Um, so thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.